Hi, I'm Sam.
And I'm Samri.
And welcome to the Chopsticks and Forks, Please podcast. You're going to have a hard time saying that.
Chopsticks and Fork, please.
So we decided to change the name of the podcast, mostly because whenever we would describe, it's called the Lines Between the Stars podcast, people would be confused.
Yeah. I mean, for us it makes sense because... I wrote down like 3 different titles,
and it
you
sounded
picked.
Nice. Yeah, it's a nice sounding thing.
Yeah.
But I think for people who don't know us, it's like, where does that come from? You know. So I think when we were at the restaurant, we got like a fork and we got a chopstick.
Yeah. Whenever we go to an Asian restaurant, Chinese, Korean, I don't know, Japanese, they're all. I mean. I think Japanese, they bring both of us chopsticks, at least.
Yeah.
In Chinese and Korean and Vietnamese, they're always like...
You need a fork.
You get a fork.
You specifically get a fork.
Even if I specifically ask for chopsticks.
Yeah. And it was just kind of funny. It's like, that should be a podcast name.
Yeah.
The Chopsticks and Fork, please. Because it's like, oh, hey, that like also describes, our relationship as an interracial couple.
Yeah. I was going to add, and injera, please.
Yeah, and injera, please. But
no one... when you go to restaurants, they're not going to have injera.
Yeah, they're not going to have injera.
That's a utensil. It's not a utensil.
It's not a utensil.
Well, technically, we use it to pick up food.
Pick up food, yeah. But that you can say that with a lot of things for different cultures, too, Like, in Vietnamese culture, we use, like, lettuce as a pickup thing for some foods, I think a lot of cultures have their food as a pickup item. Yeah.
Also, Koreans use
tortillas. Tortillas are the same way too. They're like technically you can use them to like pick up food too.
Yeah. So we changed it for that reason. I also posted a picture on my YouTube, Samri Bliss, saying like they brought a fork. They put it inside this like spaghetti thingy. It's not a spaghetti, but it's like noodles.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait, does this come with fork or is it because I'm not Asian?
I'm like, it's because you're not Asian, babe.
It's always something that I have to be like, oh yes, I'm not Asian, I guess.
Yeah. Sometimes I get both.
Okay.
Or sometimes I get chopsticks, but usually sometimes I get both because I do look mixed to a lot of people.
Yeah, you look half.
Yeah, so sometimes people are confused, especially nowadays when like I put on a mask. So people tend to get more confused in that regard.
Yeah, I guess he looks white.
Yeah, well, not white, but I think like at least some sort of mixed.
Yeah, like so I do know how to use chopsticks, by the way.
Yeah.
So I today I got aligners, which is similar to Invisalign, except it's a different brand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I used to have braces when I was younger. I'm very glad that I do not have braces anymore.
You used to have a headgear.
I used to also have headgear too. Like I used to be the kid who you would imagine like getting shoved into a locker.
Oh no!
That stereotype of the kid with like the braces and like, the headgear and like, hey nerd, get in the locker, And then like they grow up and they become like super attractive because of all the work that was done to their like mouth structure and jawline. So they're like, oh, hello there.
From a fork, what is it? Frog to a
or like
prince?
A duckling to the ugly duckling to a swan.
Yeah.
But it was just kind of a funny. I thought it was just like a funny thing that like brought to mind.
Yeah.
And
I remember when you were like recounting it, you were like, you had this expression in your face, like, "Oh, that did really happen, didn't it?"
Yeah. I had like wiped it from my memory.
Yeah.
Like I'm like I don't want to deal with this anymore.
Yeah.
Because like you would go into the orthodontist and they tighten up your mouth. They tighten up your mouth. You're like drooling a bunch,
really?
because you're like, there's something in my mouth.
Oh, I did have a, like, an option. So I went to 2 different places to get like evaluated for braces.
Yeah.
And one of them was going to actually like put in those like colored braces.
Yeah.
But then I decided, let me, like get an opinion elsewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And then they were like, you can just wear something like invisible. It won't even show up. Something that adults would choose.
Yeah.
And I'm also wearing like elastics.
Yeah.
From like at the bottom teeth, there's an arm.
Mm-hmm.
And then it attaches to.
Oh yeah, I had elastics too. I had the elastics, headgear, and like bracelets,
no!
like all the above.
Oh my god, that's too much.
Yeah. So.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, there are times where like I just couldn't sleep because like if it was like right after a tightening.
Yeah.
I just like couldn't sleep or anything like that, and I was just like, oh.
I mean, so the one I'm wearing today, it's not painful enough to like.
It reminds me of like a retainer.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It looks like a retainer to me.
It's tight.
Yeah.
But it's not like what you're describing.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that would suck.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'll tell you that like after you get all this done, after everything's done, solved, they'll give you a retainer. Always wear that retainer. You wear that retainer for the rest of your life. Yeah,
because teeth shift
really teeth shift easily. Yeah, I've noticed that. So like usually when I'm like, okay, I try to wear my retainer as much as possible.
Yeah.
But sometimes I forget.
Yeah.
I forget sometimes.
Makes sense.
So if Samri sounds a little bit different, it's because she has an Invisalign right now.
Yeah, I have a lisp.
Yeah. You learn how to talk with that.
Yeah. I'm hoping that it'll help me lose weight.
Yeah, that's usually what happens too. Like my dad had braces recently, and apparently he lost weight because of the braces.
Yeah, because it's
like, just a pain to eat.
If you have to like remove it, remove the elastic, eat, brush your teeth, floss.
Yeah.
Put it back in and the elastic back in. That's too much work.
It's a pain. Yeah. Like I noticed that you like skip breakfast nowadays.
Oh yeah.
We intermittent fast.
Yeah.
We doing intermittent fasting.
Mhm. That way I could just go straight to work after making you coffee.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I'm fine with that. I was like used to doing intermittent fasting pretty much.
Yeah. And I've noticed the difference in my digestion and bowel movement after I started intermittent fasting on Monday.
And for a long time, you're like, breakfast is the most important meal of the day.
You need nutrition to think.
Yeah. I was like, babe, I'm just doing intermittent fasting.
Yeah, and actually, like, fasting is something that's really ancient and, like every major religion has a fasting element to it.
Yeah.
And I believe it's because they saw the benefit to people.
Yeah.
And they put it as part of their religion.
Breakfast just means break fast.
Mm-hmm.
Like in a literal term.
Yeah. I think for Muslims they fast for like more than close to a whole day.
That's for one of the events, it's like a special fast pretty much. I don't know the name, so I apologies to any Muslims out there. But I also remember, I do know that like for children, like teenagers, if they're going to school or they have like rigorous testing, like for like a rigorous test, breakfast is actually quite helpful in that regard.
Yeah. For people who are in their growing.
Yeah, it's like that specific growing period. Because I remember going to take like state testing. They always recommend it's like, okay, hey, I know some of you kids skip out on breakfast, but this time around you should probably eat breakfast. Oh, okay. And they would give that advice for like SATs and stuff like that too, because you're like testing all day. Yeah. And like they're like, yeah, you should probably eat a breakfast for that. Just because like you're like under a lot of like mental strain, and you're all growing too, so you should probably eat something. Yeah,
and also for people who menstruate, it's important to also like do some research about like when you're menstruating, you should not fast.
Yeah, really, when it comes to diet, everyone's different. Everyone has their own unique circumstances, and everyone has like their own like needs and stuff like that. Like, for me, I require more protein than you because I'm on like always in like a constant state of like muscle recovery because of weightlifting, right?
Plus, you have a high metabolism.
Yeah, you have a high metabolism. Yours is probably like you end up needing like more carbs because you do a lot more like cardio-based workouts like Zumba and stuff.
Yeah.
Where like carbs fuel that more.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess.
I usually do a very low carb diet personally.
Okay.
Like I usually eat less like bread. I mean, I don't like bread that much. But I also like, like rice, even like my rice portion. I used to eat like much more like bigger rice portions, but I've like cut down on like the portions of rice that I eat.
Okay. Yeah. Is it because you start dating me?
I mean, I've known about like low carb for a while, and it's just kind of like balancing it, like the diet wheel. I mean, you've ate like a bunch of carbs. You had a high carb diet, so I started dating you. But then I would try to teach you how to eat low carb. Because I was eating low carb for a while too,
So you wouldn't eat as much rice? Or
I would use like brown rice because that fills up more. Or like if I did use oats, it would be like rolled oat, like if I did eat stuff, it'd be like whole wheat stuff, like rolled oats or something like that. I never really ate a lot of bread.
Okay.
Like you know me, like
yeah.
When you looked at my place, I never had a loaf of bread at home. If I did, it was like a weird special thing that I got on a whim.
Yeah, if it's like garlic bread or something.
Garlic bread, or like a or it would be like a Costco loaf of bread that was like fully made, that was like made or something like that.
Like fresh.
And then we gotta like eat it fast.
Okay, yeah. I like brioche bread when it comes to breads. I've also started making forgot the name. It's this ancient grain that's really nutritious. I think it starts with a Q.
Not quinoa.
No. but yeah, there's a grain. I found it in a Whole Foods.
Yeah, but yeah, mostly when I was like trying to set your diet up, I did like work on like lowering the amount of carbs you ate, and then like increase like vegetable fiber and protein.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so like
I need more veggies actually these days.
More veggies.
Yeah.
You're very bad at like, unless I make it for you, you won't eat veggies.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, so
we have
now
a ton of vegetables.
that's true. In the garden, like we need to eat veggies because there's a lot.
Yeah, mostly it's kind of like I mean, I've taught you also how to like prepare more stuff. Like if I gave you some kale, I was like, hey babe, use this kale somehow. You'll probably figure something out.
Yeah, I can steam it, cut it into little pieces.
What we've been doing recently is we've been steaming a lot of our vegetables.
Yeah, we've been eating a lot of corn.
Yeah, corn. Corn's like this interesting one because it's like corn's like a carb as well.
Really?
Yeah, it's like a carb / fiber,
Okay, because it's sweet?
Yeah, and there's also quite a bit of natural sugar in there too. So like corn has quite a bit. I mean, it's a subsidized crop in the U.S. too, so it's pretty cheap.
Yeah.
And it's in everything.
Yeah.
But if we just eat corn, if we eat corn like just on the cob, that's good. Except like I'm just thinking like, man, I should stop putting a ton of butter on these.
Oh, is that why you skipped out on the butter?
That's why I skipped out on the butter that last time because I was like, we've been eating this with like butter.
Butter and butter.
Yeah, butter and bebede. That's
tastes really good.
It's so good, but like I was like, I've been adding butter to this like a little bit too often. So I should like cut down on that.
Okay. So let's talk about the 3-hour movie we watched.
Oh yeah, RRR.
Was it this weekend? The past weekend?
Yeah, that was the past weekend.
It's
so I would just call it's the gayest movie if you could give like gay style meter that continues to rise on like the upper right hand corner, like as the movie goes on.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Like it describes the period of like the British Raj. I think that's how you pronounce it. The British Raj, where like the British ruled like India pretty much.
Okay.
And there are these two guys from different like socio-economic backgrounds, and they kind of like it's kind of like their stories and how their like fates intertwine. How like they like,
became friends.
They're like enemies, they're enemies, but they met each other and they're like found this connection.
Yeah.
It's like they met each other and then there's a montage of them like holding hands, like having like bike rides, them doing like exercises together.
Yeah,
like,
with one is like on his shoulder and he's like squatting.
It's like, oh man.
It's super,
so
yeah.
I was looking at it, I was like, this is the gayest stuff I've ever seen.
It is. Okay, they described it as something else,
brotherly or
friendship. Like I would say it's like Bollywood, but they used a different.
It's not Bollywood.
Wood.
It's something wood. It's something wood. It isn't Bollywood specifically.
Yeah, because they depict more like people with brown skin instead of light skin, like Bollywood does. Because Bollywood is mostly. It was started by the Punjabi tribe, and Punjabis are really light skinned. But yeah, so it's really super Indian, and like you learn about like how people hunted and like
I don't think
communed with the earth and stuff.
I don't think that's exactly very like how exactly they did it.
I mean, of course
it's
not.
Like fantastic,
so like
it's fantasy.
It's a very fantastical. Movie as well, and it kind of reminds me of like little glimpses of like Chinese movie and drama that I've watched, where like I mean they didn't have like dragons and like
well there's other films like I've heard that like the people who made this one previously made a very fantasy based like story.
Oh, okay. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, and it's just kind of funny because you'll have like a big action fight sequence, and then it's like followed up with like a dance number.
Yeah, of course.
It's great.
It's required.
It's very great, and then just like I personally like for me, I really enjoy stuff that depicts male friendship, even if it like borderlines like homo gayness. I love it. I love it so much.
Is it Hong Kong films and stuff that?
I think it's just any story like you have like Western stuff. Like I grew up with a lot of Hong Kong stuff too. A lot of anime.
Oh, okay, so it's the anime that.
Yeah, where it's just like friend, like male friendship, stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
And it's really funny because looking like with knowledge of internet now, people find those like man, those shows are super gay.
Yeah, I feel like in other cultures other than the West, like homosexuality is not associated with like men being friends or like showing affection with each other.
There's Brokeback Mountain.
No. I mean like in the West.
That is a Western show.
Like what I'm saying is, in the West they're very like black and white. Like, if two men show affection with each other, then they're labeled gay.
Yeah.
In other countries, they're like, oh yeah, they're friends.
Yeah.
Because like in Ethiopia, when I visited, I noticed, because like it's something I never noticed before I left as a kid. When I returned as an adult, I saw a bunch of men like skipping down the road with like their like pinkies intertwined, and I'm like, wait, I've been seeing that and I never interpreted it as like gay.
Yeah.
Until I lived in the US and went back.
Granted, also a lot of those other countries are like a lot less tolerant about like
that
sort of
thing.
They
are intolerant of that, but they're tolerant of like physical affection. Like men would like sit on each other's laps, call each other my girlfriend. I don't know, like do anything but
That's like the
actually
joke.
have
That's
sex
the
with
joke.
each other.
I mean, who knows, babe? Who
Yeah,
knows?
that's true. That's
Who
true.
knows?
Yeah.
Who knows what they do under like behind closed doors?
True.
Okay?
True.
Like it's kind of funny. It's just like the whole like you know, it's like, oh hey, I'll give you a blowjob, but no homo though. You know, it's like, yeah, we're just that close of friends.
Yeah.
You know? It's like
we do each other favors.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
We really recommend it.
We do recommend it. It's fun.
I want to show Miki.
Yeah.
The show.
Your brother is like scared of like any like hint of like.
Really?
Gay. I don't know. Like I feel like he like.
I don't think so.
Or anything that's like. Well, he might like it because it's super masculine. Because he's super into like masculine things, right?
I don't think so.
He seems afraid. He seems afraid of like anything that would like.
Okay.
Himself as like.
So he's
feminine.
more of like Jordan Peterson.
Yeah.
Like he's listening to
Jordan
him these days.
Peterson. Oh my God, Jordan Peterson's gone crazy nowadays.
Oh really?
He's like an
worse than
anti,
before?
like he's like gone on this like anti-trans tirade right now, and like he's more incoherent. Like because I think he actually got like I believe it was like a brain tumor or like a heart attack. And, like,
recently?
Recently, and he's like gone more incoherent now.
Oh really? I thought he was running for president or prime minister of Canada or something.
Yeah, but it's kind of like, dang,
That's
he's gone
sad.
crazy. He's gone crazy. It's like it's kind of funny. Just like there's actually like a definition of it. Where people who are like anti-trans just like go crazier and crazier and crazier, pretty much. Of like how they like view things. It's kind of like J.K. Rowling. How J.K. Rowling became anti-trans, and now she's like went from like being like all inclusive to being like massive like exclusionariist, you know, like opposite, right?
Mm-hmm. Wait, so she was pro inclusion with like
like Harry
sexuality
Potter.
and
like Harry Potter was her
gender.
Like Harry Potter was like a story that like, oh hey, like this is like all inclusionary. Don't look down on someone based off of like their social and economic status, where they come from. I mean, it's a story that like appeals to a lot of LGBTQ members, right? And so when she like went out to being like like pretty anti-trans, a lot of those people that like were attracted to her stories were all of a sudden felt like hyper betrayed, hyper betrayed, right?
Okay.
Yeah, and she had a lot of like her views. If you like read through her thing, was like kind of like based off of like a lot of I think it's like TERF stuff, or it's like trans exclusionary feminism or something like that.
Oh, okay.
Where it's just like where she's like feminism does not include like anyone like trans individuals. So yeah, that was like everyone. It kind of was crazy because even like the people who worked on Harry Potter, like all
the actors,
all the actors like yeah, J.K. like don't do like everyone was kind of like bruh.
Is she American?
J.K. Rowling? No, she's British.
Oh, okay.
Everything about Harry Potter is super
British.
super British.
Super British.
Super British. It was even filmed with like an all British cast.
Yeah, I thought it was just it's like British cast because it was set in England or whatever.
Yeah, but yeah, she is very British. She is very British.
So it is. But yeah.
Okay, so that's it for today's podcast.
Yeah, it's almost 7.
Yeah, we'll see you all later. Thanks for watching the podcast. Please like and subscribe and hit that bell notification.
Yeah, and tell us what you think about the brand name change.
All right, see you later.
Bye.